This is Module 3, Lesson 2 of the Scratch Computer Science 20S course. Today we're going to look at a variety of different things. We're going to look at variables, input and output, and broadcast. So we're going to improve upon our game quite a bit. Hopefully you've saved that base game 1 from the last lesson, and if you haven't, then you'll have to go back and go through that lesson and try to figure out exactly what you need for a file. Okay, so we're going to begin with variables, and here's a mathematical expression, 2x plus 4 equals 12. And what is the x in this equation? This x is we refer to as a variable because it stands for many different, in this particular case, x has a certain value. The x is equal to 4 and only 4, right? But x can stand for many values depending on the equation, okay? So the x that you use in math class that we call a variable is the same type of thing. Call it a variable here in computer science. It's the same kind of thing because its value can vary. Now in math, generally the letters, the variables have only one value, but in computer science they vary considerably because you're keeping track of things. Now what kind of things might you want to keep track of? Well, things like the time, the score in a game, the cost of value, the user's name, the character's name, how many things they picked up, high scores. The list goes on and on and on. So variables are extremely important. They keep track of everything. Okay, so how do we create a variable? So I'd like you to open up the program from the last lesson, base game 1, and under the variable block, I'd like you to select make a variable and call it time, and you're going to use it for all sprites. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. That's very important when we get into some Liberty Basic stuff. And I'd like you to make sure that the checkbox is selected and the time will appear on the stage. So once you've created your variable time, click on the little checkbox there and it should show up on the stage. And let me show you exactly what I mean. I've got my base game saved from before. Hopefully you do as well. And I'm going to go to variables and I'm going to make a variable and I'm going to call it time. And it's going to be a variable that all sprites can see. You can have certain variables that only this sprite sees, and you can have certain variables that all sprites see. If they all see it, we call that a global variable because it exists for the entire globe of sprites. It's global, universal. Or if it's for this sprite only, we call that a local variable. That's only true for that particular variable. Okay, so we're going to set this up for all sprites. And you'll notice that it's checked right there, and the value of time is currently 0. That's the default setting. All right. So we'll add this to the Scratch sprite. This bit of code right here. It also loops until it touches the other sprite, and it keeps a running clock of how long it takes you to catch the ball. So I'd like you to add this bit of code to the Scratch sprite. So go ahead and pause the video and do that. Okay, so I'm going to add that to mine as well. Just need to make this a bit smaller so I can see. And make sure you're on the Scratch sprite. You'll notice that we've got two different sets of scripts going here. Okay, so to my Scratch sprite, I'm going to add, when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to send Scratch to a position of 0, 0. I'm going to set my time equal to 0. You should always do that even though it's going to be set to 0 because you never know when you might want to set it to something different. And I'm going to repeat until I'm going to repeat this part. Even though I've got that in my ball script, I'm going to repeat this bit of code until Scratch is touching sprite 2. And I forgot I was going to show you how to change the names. We're going to do that right away here. We're going to repeat until we're touching sprite number 2, and I'm going to wait a second. Sorry, that's under orange. I'm going to wait a second, and then I'm going to go into my variable, and I'm going to change the value of the time by 1. And what this does is it waits a second, and then every second, it will change the value of the time variable by 1. Let's just see if that works. Okay, and you can see here the value of the time is going up and up and up, and it's waiting until I get down there and touch that ball. And then you'll notice that the time stops. So it took me 8 seconds to get to the ball. Okay, now I promised you that I would show you how to change the name. This is kind of handy. We're going to go up into where it says sprite number 1, and I'm going to say cat. And I'm going to go over to sprite number 2, and I'm going to call sprite number 2 ball. You'll notice that the program automatically changed this to cat, and it should have automatically changed this one to ball. Okay, so it just makes the code a little bit more understandable because you know what you're looking for, and just instead of numbering sprite 1, sprite 2, and so on. Okay, so that works good. We've got our variable time running, and it catches it. It stops when the cat catches the ball. Okay, now the second thing I want to show you in this lesson is the input statement. This gets information from the user, and the Scratch command is ask. Ask, and then the default is what is your name, and wait. And then the variable that is the answer to the question is always called answer. Okay, so let me just show you where that is. Okay, that's under the sensing. We're going to ask, what is your name? And then here the automatic variable, the automatic answer is, to the question, is the variable answer. So the ask part asks the question in the box, and whatever is typed is stored as a variable answer. This can be changed to another variable. Okay, you can use the variable in the script. Okay, like set your name to the answer. So let's just do this. Let's make a new variable, call it name, and it exists for all sprites. It's global. And then I'm going to set my answer The set my answer is under the control. And so I've got here, where is it? It's not under control, it's under variables, of course, right? All right, so let's go set our name to, now the answer will go in that spot right there. Okay, so let's add this to this bit of code right here. Now, the first thing it asks is, what is your name? And you can type your name in. Okay, and you see that the value of name is here. You'll notice that my timer went back to 0. It was 8 from before, and my game continues to work. Now at this point here, I could say something. I notice that the time, if I run this again, you'll notice that my time is set to 8. So I should probably have my time equal to 0. I should probably have it before I ask that question. Just we don't want the time from the last time around to show up. Let's do that. Now I got 0 there. That's better. Okay. So I've said here in my slides that you can use the variable in the script. So what I'm talking about is that you can print the variable, you can say it. How we print in Scratch is we use the variable say. Okay, so you can say like hello name. Now to say hello, we're going to have to join hello to the name. So this is the little bit of code that we've got here. Let's just add that. To say it is under the purple. We're going to say hello, and we're going to have to join Okay, so we're going to join hello and the name. We're going to join those together, and then we're going to say them. We're going to say that right there. And I don't have this on my slides, but I'm going to add this in here as well. I'm going to say I'm going to duplicate that. I haven't shown you how to do that yet, so there's a good example of how to duplicate something. And I'm going to say, after I'm done catching the ball, I'm going to say, instead of saying hello, I'm going to say, good work, game. Okay, so let's see what happens here. What's your name? Hello, Bennett. And you'll notice that my timer has started. Okay, so that worked pretty good. Or you could use it in another statement like ask how many stars to catch. If you wanted to catch more than one ball, then you could ask how many stars to catch, wait, set the number of stars to the answer, and then you could repeat until the number of stars is equal to the stars caught if you wanted to catch more than one ball. Okay, so that's an option as well. Is use that variable as part of your code. You're going to repeat until that number of stars, number of balls is equal to the stars caught, and you can keep track of when your game ends. Okay, the last thing I want to show you in this lesson is the broadcast. Now the broadcast allows a message to go out to all sprites that something like all the balls are caught and that you are to do something new. In a lot of different programs, we would call this a flag. Okay, it's a flag, it's a message that something has happened. Okay, in Scratch they use the word broadcast. So you can broadcast all the balls are caught, and then you can start a new script when I receive all balls caught, then that is your bit of code that you can do your end of your game. You could play a song, you could stop the timer, you could figure out high scores, all the things you have to do once the game is over. Okay, the broadcasts are under control. Okay, so once you are done, say good work name, you could broadcast a new broadcast like done, and then you could have another bit of script here. When I receive that you are done, then you're going to, what are we going to do here? Let's play something. Let's go to my sound. Let's find something good. Okay, so let's pick under vocals, let's pick the hey yeah hey one. And I'm going to add it right there. Okay, so here's the game right here. Ask what's the name, use the name, go and try and touch the ball, say good work name, and then broadcast done. Broadcast done means start this bit of script right here. Now you'll notice that I haven't added any comments to this. Okay, so we should probably do that. Let's add a comment here. Intro stuff is this bit here. This bit here is actually the game. So I run timer until ball is caught. That's what this loop here does. And this, of course, is the end of game. That's what this bit does. And I should probably have, this is the ball script here. Okay, so now I've got some comments in there. Ask me my name. Okay, and I've caught it. And it should have broadcast that. I wonder why that didn't work. There we go. Okay, so that's our little game there that you can work on and you can adjust kind of thing. I'm sure there's a few things you realize that could be fixed. First of all, we don't need to see the word name up here. So let's go back to our variable. Let's just click that one. That way it doesn't show, just our timer shows. You'll notice that the name stayed there for quite a while. We can go back to my cat, and when I said say it, it stayed there. So maybe what I should have said was instead of say, I want to say it for maybe 1 second so that it doesn't stay there. Okay, so there's lots of different things that you can do to sort of improve upon that. All right. I'd like you to show you one more way to move. This was shown to me by a student, and it's a very nice way rather than using the keyboard. So the X and Y positions of the mouse are always recorded as a variable. It's a default variable called mouse X, and can be used to move a sprite Y, setting its X position to the mouse X and to the mouse Y. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about here. So forever, set the X value of the cat to the mouse X value. So let's just try that in our little game here. So rather than these movement ones, let's get rid of these ones. And let's add this bit of code right here. So when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to forever be setting my X value of the cat, set my X value to the mouse X, which is under sensing. Okay, now when you do this, okay, you can see I can move the cat back and forth just with my cursor, much easier than doing it with the arrow keys. Okay, you notice that I don't have moving up and down because I haven't got the Y value in there. So what you should do is you should go ahead and do that. Pause, and then I'll show you the answer. Okay, you should be back now. Pretty easy to do. You're just going to use mouse Y and set my Y. You're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to do it like that, and now your cat should be able to move left, right, up, and down. So that's a nice way of moving the cat around. Some people prefer the keyboard motion. You can also, if you want to investigate different types of motion, you can look glide. At this point here, you might want to look at something like the glide. You would have to keep track of the X position. So rather than that, it would be back to my left and right. So let's show you one here. When right arrow is pressed, then I'm going to glide 1 second, and I'm going to glide to the current Y position. The Y position is not going to change. The X position is going to be X position. I'm going to add, say, maybe 10 to my X position. So let me just see if I can do that under variables. Okay, so I've got using the glide here. And I don't have it working very well. But glide is another way that you can move the cat around. So the two different ways that I've shown you are sort of the steps, the change in the X and the Y. I've shown you with the mouse, and this new glide one, which doesn't work too well. You'll have to mess around a little bit with the variables like that to make that work good for you. Okay, so at this point here, this is Module 3 Assignment 2. I'd like you to take your assignment, not the base game, but the assignment that you did in Lesson 1 from the last lesson, and I'd like you to modify it. I'd like you to make a timer to record how long it takes to catch the ball. I'd like you to create a second variable that records the number of balls left to catch. Ask the user how many balls they want to catch. Have the balls start in random positions. Wait 2 seconds before the next ball appears. Show the number of balls left to catch as a variable. Have a big celebration when the 10th ball is caught with sound, pictures, animations, user broadcast. And there's a bonus here, determine the total time for all 10 balls along with individual times for each ball. Okay, so you've got lots to work on there. This is going to take you a day or so to do that. This is the end of lesson number 2.